Hello, everyone out there in Hangout land. I am Ronnie Weiss here in Manhattan, New York City. Today we have a great group of panelists for a conversation on partnering on grassroots destination marketing. I am from Destination Accelerator. Myself and Ethan Gelber are the two of the co-founders and now the co-organizers of that. TrekSoft is a company with a presence in New York City as well. So, without further ado, I would like to just introduce Destination Accelerator, and then TrekSoft, and then our panelists. So, just so you know a little bit about me, I co-founded Travel Talk on Twitter, which is the largest Twitter travel chat. I'm putting together the New York Travel Festival, which is a new model for a consumer travel event here in New York City. So that's a little about me. Ethan, if you want to tell them a bit about yourself and Destination Accelerator.
Sure. I come from 20 years background in the travel and tourism space. I've worn many hats. I've been a tour operator, a travel journalist, writer, editor, publisher, co-founder of a number of different organizations managing media communications, destination marketing, other things. At present, among other things, I am the media and communications manager for a global travel company called WHL Group. Also, in the context of Destination Accelerator, I've been working with a lot of local tourism boards, local tour operators, and larger groups as well in looking at how they can promote their destinations. Destination Accelerator does just that. It looks at information. It recognizes the fact that people are looking at information and for information in more places than ever before as they're imagining how to travel and where to travel. It's not just about tourism boards, excuse me. And so Destination Accelerator has taken upon itself to look at new, innovative, and often digital means of promoting a destination to anyone involved in destination marketing. In other words, anyone who is involved in destination marketing, whether a tourism board or a tour operator or a hotel, a PR firm, a travel writer, even academics and individual travelers, might be interested in new technology, new practices, and look for how they can work with the interest of promoting their destinations.
Cool. Okay.
Destination Accelerator has taken upon itself to bring two into one place and at one time people with different expertise and experience to introduce and address these new and different technologies, just as we're doing today online. We also had a live meeting in September, and we are looking toward a new live face-to-face meeting with experts and practitioners at the end of February.
Cool. Thank you, Ethan. With me in the same room here in Manhattan, we have Dariush Daftarian, who's the marketing manager at TrekSoft, and he's going to tell us a little bit about what TrekSoft is and what they do and how they contribute to this grassroots destination marketing effort. Dariush.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. I have originally a marketing background, so I came to TrekSoft because we realized that we want to help our customers to market themselves. TrekSoft is an online booking and payment engine that enables tour operators and activity providers with the software solution to promote their products. We are active in several different countries, from third world countries to first world countries. We offer an integrated process of booking and payment, so we take also care of the actual credit card payment itself. This is the basis for marketing products online, marketing tourism products online, and there the second step kicks in. We try to help our customers to sell their products online, offline, and on mobile devices. So destination marketing is a big topic for us, especially as we have some customers with active in destinations that are not, don't have big names and are commonly known. We also have customers in those destinations, but nevertheless we try to help every company in whatever destination. So it's a big topic for us, and we are happy to co-organize this event to show our customers what they can do with the things we will discuss now, and probably also to show the audience a bit what TrekkSoft can facilitate within destination marketing.
Cool. Thank you very much. So to that end, I just wanted to hear a bit more about the history of TrekkSoft, and that is going to be from Jon Fauver, who is the co-founder of Outdoor Interlaken, which is a grassroots destination marketing effort. Jon, how are you?
Great, Ronnie. Thanks for that. A bit of background about myself. I've been involved also for about 20 years in the tour and activity segment of the travel industry, starting off guiding rafts on some rivers in Nepal and the Himalaya. Moved around the world a bit, South America, North America, ended up landing here in Switzerland, where we started a company called Outdoor Interlaken. In the past 10 years, we've grown that to be one of the largest year-round operators in Switzerland, and started a sister company called Bus2alps, which deals with student travel. It's a student travel tour operator all over Europe. TrekkSoft grew out of a need in Interlaken to market and sell products online. Interlaken itself is the #1 destination for adventure activities in Europe. It's a huge market here. There's about 60,000 guests who come through Interlaken and take part in an adventure activity each year. That's anything from a high ropes course to hiking to whitewater rafting and skydiving. We've got everything from soft adventure to the high risker stuff. Not including all the skiers, the normal tourists that come, go out, and the activities on the lakes, etc. There is a massive amount of activities in Interlaken. Typical structure here: hotels take commission, various companies working together take commission from each other. Obviously, the incoming tour operators take commission from each other. Within the adventure and hostel segment, quite early on in Interlaken, we realized we weren't getting the international marketing that we needed. So the group founded here called Interlaken Hostels and Adventure. It grew out of the backpacker segment that quickly encompassed all the adventure companies and all the hostels. It's very unique in Interlaken where we have competitors, people who are fighting for the same tourist dollars on the street in the town, working together to promote Interlaken as a destination internationally. We have a very good cooperation among all the companies, even the rafting companies, that it's head-to-head competition for the same tourist dollar. We're able to work together, we call it friendly competition. We put our local differences aside when we go out into the international market, and it works very well. When you start to move that model online and take advantage of the online sales, at first we met a lot of resistance because it started cutting out the local players, the local hotels and hostels that were dependent on the commission. They're not going to get that commission anymore. The difficulty it is to then create your packages where you can book a rafting trip together with a skydive, together with an accommodation. If you're doing that online as a small destination, it's quite difficult. So when we built TrekkSoft to solve the needs here in Interlaken, to allow each individual partner to sell each other's trips, create those packages, and then to take that whole platform into a place and make it available for the local hotels to use, for the local tourism office to use, where anyone can come to one online portal in Interlaken, get all the activities, but each local operator still controls their own capacities, their own prices, their own commission relationship with any other partner in the network. So far, we've seen great success with it here. We've boosted online sales, and we've seen a successful cooperation within the Interlaken adventure industry move from a completely offline segment into an online segment where we can take that same cooperation, not just promoting at international trade shows, but now building up the social media presence, building up all the online presence here in Interlaken. Our local tourism office has an exceptional grasp of social media, does a very good job on Facebook and Twitter, and we see that turn into online conversions through direct sales.
Cool. Okay, so we'll get a little bit more into TrekkSoft a little later in part of the conversation and some of the details at the end. Kate Webb, who, despite her flag having some bizarre idea of what Google sees as the world, she is in Malawi. And how are you today, Kate?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Ronnie.
Kate Webb is the co-owner of the Responsible Safari Company. Hi, Kate. Are you still there? All right. As I mentioned, Kate is in Malawi, so we're going to give her a few chances to hopefully have the internet tick up for her to do her introduction. So, Kate, can you hear me? Can you talk? And we're moving on. Lee Schulman is in Argentina, and she is the founder of Cloudhead. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do and are up to? Oh, okay. That makes sense. Can you, she's muted, it says. Juan, can you talk just for a second?
Yeah, sure.
Lee, can you try talking? There it is. Yeah, we can hear you.
I think I'm there now. Okay. All right, Cloudhead, we do a little bit of kind of everything, everything that people have been talking about so far. My background is I'm a writer and a photographer, and I used to live in New York and had founded my own internet consulting, which in consulting meaning just a thing that people do with consulting, anything to do with computers, I would help people with. Then I left New York, traveled for about 4 years, and then ended up in Salta, where we've kind of, my husband and I founded Cloudhead, where we kind of use all of our background in computers, travel, writing, photography, and art in one kind of big organization. What we do mostly is form partnerships with other groups. So we work with Adobe, we work with the Adobe Foundation. We work with
you broke up.
Yes?
Can you just, you said you form partnerships with who?
Okay. We form partnerships with a lot of different other organizations, and so that could be we form partnerships with a photography organization in the United States and bring people here for photography tours, or we have another partnership with the Adobe Foundation where they've given us funding and software that we use in our projects here, our nonprofit projects here. And basically, what we try to do is get around the idea of competition. So instead of creating competition with other companies, we form collaborations so that each different group gets something out of that that partnership. And as far as working with the government, what I basically found in Argentina is that things become really complicated when you work with the government. And it's not that we don't want to work with them, it's that every time we do, we end up with a lot of paperwork. So what we've tried to do is we never deal with them directly. We're always dealing through a third party so that an Argentine organization or a local organization is dealing with the government, and we never do, if that makes any sense.
Sure, and we can go into that a little bit more later. So now we have Juan Paredes Goicoechea, who's the co-founder of Large Minority and More Local. He is also in the Latin American space, but in a very different part of it. How are you, sir?
Hi, Ronnie. How are you doing? Thanks a lot for the invite. Just a bit about myself. I'm from Colombia. I happen to work in the tourism industry for quite a while now in different countries such as the US, UAE, South Africa, Cambodia, and Sri Lanka. I've worked for companies such as the Ritz-Carlton, Emirates Airlines, and most recently for the FIFA World Cup back in 2010. In 2009, I co-founded Large Minority and More Local. We operate different products in Sri Lanka, Cambodia, and Colombia with the idea of concentrating on community-based tourism, responsible travel, and cultural travel as well.
Okay, cool. So last but not least, unless we get Kate back, we have Leslie McClellan, who is a partner at Tourism Currents. Hi, Leslie.
Hi there, and thank you so much for having me. Tourism Currents, we are social media personal trainers for destinations, convention and visitor bureaus, chambers of commerce, tourism organizations. I've been in tourism for almost 30 years. That's terrible to say. But anyway.
Almost as long as I've been alive.
Oh, yeah, thanks so much for that. Anyway, Tourism Currents, we provide in-person and online training for destinations. But prior to that, for 21 years, I was the destination marketer for Lake Arrowhead, California, which is in Southern California, about 90 miles east of Los Angeles. I'm high up in the mountains. We get 4 seasons, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit.
Cool. Kate, you're back. Can you hear us? Can we hear you? Oh, okay, maybe not. So Ethan, you're a little. Kate, I see you talking. Is your microphone plugged in and everything? Hi, you can give us a smile. All right. So Ethan, are you comfortable? Are you familiar enough? I know you've written some things up about what Kate does. Any chance you could say a little about what Kate does?
Oh goodness, put me on the spot. Kate, among many other things, has spent a great deal of time networking with local communities in Malawi. Not so much local operators as villages, local community efforts, village-prompted tourism programs, supporting their efforts, supporting their desires, supporting their search for outreach, so that she and the local communities can present a view of Malawi that shows a little bit more of the grassroots. Her commitment to the local communities, this is outside of the standard tourism programs. Her commitment to the local communities is pretty much unparalleled. There is, of course, great focus on ecotourism and sustainable travel with a view toward cultural commitments and cultural efforts. But her approach to the partnerships and to the grassroots marketing is about using the thrusts and interests of the local communities to carry forth a vision of Malawi and Malawian culture and Malawian travel and experiences that is not quite the mainstream.
Kate, can we just give you one more try to see if you could talk to? No, no dice. We'll find out more about Kate at another time, I guess. So, oh, sorry, try one more time.
Hi, sorry about this.
There it is. Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to hold everyone up, but what Ethan's saying is right. Run a small company here in Malawi, trying to work with local communities to try and see the best way for them to benefit from tourism. That's it in a nutshell.
Okay.
Just in case I get cut off again.
Well, we're hearing you just fine right now, so why don't we go a little deeper into that? So when you first heard about the topic that we were talking about, how did you feel like it best related to what you are doing over in Malawi? And I guess beyond that, since everybody's sort of in different places regionally, how much do you feel like what you do is very specific to Malawi? How much do you think it is related to Africa and then the world in general?
I think that a lot of the difficulties that we had with our company is being a small company in Africa with limited sort of availability to go to big global tourism forums and things like that, that we found that the internet and our business model has spread so much by word of mouth and through people like Ethan and people blogging about us and talking about us online. And I found that that's the way that we've learned best practices with our business, and hopefully that we're able to show other people what we're doing as well. And I think otherwise you do tend to get a little bit just very involved with just what you're doing, and especially in a country like Malawi, which is very landlocked in lots of ways. I think having the opportunity to be part of this sort of forum and meet people from all over the world, huge experience doing lots of different things, is a real benefit to the company. And I would love, it gives me an ability to kind of talk about what I'm doing and to sort of hear people's reaction to that as well.
Juan, am I wrong in that you're doing somewhat similar things in the space as well?
You're correct. Yeah, in Colombia, we're doing something very similar with the communities. And as Kate said as well, we have had certain issues when it comes to promoting our products and the destination itself. And it's basically a very good tool now that we're talking about the digital era to think about bloggers and companies such as WHL to help spread the word, not only for the benefit of our company, but also for the benefit of the destination itself.
Okay. Lee, I guess from the other end, because you said you write, when you write, do you feel, I mean, this might not make much sense, but do you feel a deeper need? Are you just looking for the story, or do you sometimes look for the kind of deeper marketing or notoriety for the destination. Does that make sense? Oh, you couldn't hear me.
Unfortunately, you cut out for part of that, so I didn't hear the whole question.
Can you hear me? Okay, so I'll type it while I'm saying it. So the idea is, as a writer...
I can hear you now.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
As a writer, I'm wondering how much you have necessarily done things that have been trying to highlight destinations rather than just a specific aspect of a story. If you feel like you have any higher calling overall or in certain aspects to be...
Ronnie, I'm not getting everything you're saying.
Oh, you're not getting everything I'm saying either? Okay. Then we'll do it this way.
Ronnie, you're not coming through clearly. Ronnie is asking Lee if she can tell us a bit more about what has been discussed from a writer's perspective.
Can you hear that, Lee?
Okay. So basically, you want to hear about this from a writer's perspective. Well, I came into this from the writer's perspective, but it kind of it's branched out to a large degree. So most of what I write about these days is about the projects and the communities that we work with, because we also work with a lot of local communities, and we very much try to work with what the communities want, figure out what their needs are, and then address those with the resources from outside the country that we have, and then also within the country. And when I write about these different groups, and it's not just writing, it's also, there's a lot of photography, because a lot of our projects are photography based. We do highlight the things that we're seeing and the places that we're going. One of the groups that we work with, and I mean, the truth is a lot of the places that we work, they're not tourist destinations. Salta is a tourist destination. Where I live is a tourist destination. The communities that we work with aren't tourist destinations. And one thing that we do is we bring a lot of volunteers into those communities, but we're always sort of trying to balance the line between tourism and volunteering, because we don't want this to be, oh, we're going to see people who we wouldn't normally see, but now we're going to see them. And when I write about it, what I'd like to focus on is the positives between the cultures and what the cultures can share, how they're different, how you can bring somebody from the United States and put them in a bad neighborhood that's full of drugs in the south of Salta, and how that can be a really solid cultural interaction and not just, oh, I'm helping somebody else, or look at these poor people.
Okay, cool. Dariush, did you have a question?
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting to see why that you all work with as far as I understood, you all work with somehow with the community, with local people, and there is a need to communicate this to the world. And then, as far as I understood it, there's blogging, there is social media, but what are the action points you take, or the actions you take beyond that, or what would, if you had a wish for this community, a magic wish, what would it be to help them or promote them more? What is the core need?
For me, we work with a lot of different communities. So we work with teens in Barrio Solidaridad. What I would wish for them is that they're able to go to school, that they're able to get an education, and that they're able to move beyond, that they're able to stay in their neighborhoods and continue giving back to their neighborhoods, but they have an education, they'll have a way to make money, and they'll have a way to support themselves. That would be my wish for them. And then there's another community we work with, which is, it's an indigenous community. It's about 4 hours north of here, and they really have almost nothing, no electricity, no water. They have one water pump there, and our process for them right now, our project for them is we basically gave the kids in the community cameras so they could take photos, and we're selling those photos. The wish for this particular project, and the profit from those photos goes back into the community, and it builds gardens and develops wells so they're not relying on municipal water. My wish for that community is ultimately that they're able to manage this all on their own, that we can teach the kids who are taking the photos how to do the technology so that they have skills to then get jobs or manage this themselves for their communities. And then overall, that the community would have enough food and water to support themselves, so you don't have little kids dying of malnutrition. And ultimately, our goal is that all of our projects, that we are not crucial to those projects, that we go in there, we help them connect with resources and help them connect with a larger culture, but ultimately we don't want to be there forever. We want them to be able to choose what they want and then move away from, and then we can move away and give them whatever support they need or want, but that we're not crucial to the process.
So, Kate, going with this concept, so when you are working with people, if I understand your model correctly, you only work with communities that already have projects going, is that correct?
Yeah, we work with communities on a more of a sort of business-to-business model. So we already work with established community-based organizations, which are completely run by the community. They might have been working for a few years just to try and help their community and tackling HIV/AIDS or looking after orphans, different things. And we come in and we are saying to them, would you like to have a new income generating activity, something else to bring support to your project? Because normally they've had funding in the past, but it's been cut by DFID or the World Bank or someone, so they're being a bit stranded and they're looking for something that's more sustainable and that they can control. So we work with them to try and see how tourism can act as an income-generating activity for them.
Okay, I have a question based on what we were saying with these small communities. Juan, is there a benchmark for how big a community needs to be for tourism to benefit them? I know, like with TrekSoft, some of the things that they've put out, they cited the smallest city, smallest town in the U.S. that has only 4 people, and they said, you know what, marketing even that as a tourism destination is valuable, and you can get people out there, and then it can build. I'm wondering if you agree with that sentiment, or if you feel there is a benchmark.
I think that it's a very personal decision when it comes to that, how you want to judge or base it. Going back to Darish's question, I think that what we concentrate on, and I guess what Kate and Lee also take into mind, is fulfilling basic needs, providing equal opportunities, and also being able to provide alternative sources of income for a community so that you don't patronize the community, but they also are able to then use that business model as something that will be beneficial in the long run for them. So in that sense, it really depends, I think, on how you judge it. For us, for example, with the communities that we've been working, they vary in size. So there's always a need, I believe, and as long as there's always a need, there will always be a solution.
So when the people you're working with, I mean, I don't want to sound condescending, but do they understand like the value that tourism has? Is it varied, and there's some that understand it, some that desire it, some that there needs to be sort of a convincing, whether it's internally or from the outside? How much do you see it being something that these small communities actually want? I'm
sorry if that was going to me.
Yeah,
to give you a precise example of a community that we work with in the Colombian Amazon, basically they have identified the necessity of using tourism as an alternative source of income for themselves, and they've been organized via different NGOs to be able to cater for tourists, and that includes promotional efforts, which obviously is perhaps not digital for them, but at least they're concentrating on being able to spread the word about their needs and their necessities, and trying to compensate that through tourism itself.
Okay, so we've talked a little about sort of working with smaller communities. I want to go to a bigger sort of business partnership conversation. I know, Leslie, you've done work in Lake Arrowhead, so if we could just get into that a bit and tell us what that project was.
Sure, and you know, it's interesting because Lake Arrowhead has about 12,500 people, but we need about 2.5 million tourists to be sustainable in the Southern California market. So it's kind of interesting when you're talking about size, because we're small, yet we have to bring a lot of people to Lake Arrowhead. But in 2008, late 2008, I realized that I was not going to have any marketing budget for 2009, and it ended up that I had $0 for both 2009 and 2010. And so talk about grassroots, I had to, you know, market a major Southern California resort destination, with my competition being like the beaches and Disneyland and that sort of thing, and I had to market with $0. So what I had to do is I had to learn social media. I didn't know anything about social media. This was at the end of 2008, and so in 2009, dug in and started a whole grassroots movement based around what our destination had as far as events went. And actually, we were crowdsourcing before that was even a word. The way I started it was we have a summer concert series on the weekends, and I asked the MC to put out the word that, hey, if you're on Twitter or you're on Facebook, could you please say that you're at our concerts and start talking about Lake Arrowhead. And that's how we started the whole thing, and we had people, by the end of 2009, we ended up raising more bed tax money than we had in years and years and years, solely because of social media and using our visitors to help us spread the word about what was happening. And then we had to do that again in 2010. And I say we, but I was a department of one, and so there's no way I could do it all by myself. I needed the local community as well as the tourists to talk about what we were doing, and really we had 2 real great years in a terrible, United States recession. So that was something we could really hang our hats on, and that's what we did in Lake Arrowhead. And for smaller destinations in particular, I can't say enough about bringing in your locals, your businesses. I now have actually a social media meetup group that meets, the small businesses meet. We talk about how we're going to talk about the destination. We make sure we're all talking about the same things, and we're promoting each other. And then we have the visitors that also help us spread the word, and we did this all for, it was the cost of my time. It didn't cost us a single dime to do this.
Cool. So we've talked a little, I've heard a little about how competition is sometimes against the benefit of raising up the profile of a destination. Did you find there to be a problem of people initially wanting to compete, and then kind of having to dissuade them from doing that and working together to make this work?
It wasn't so much compete. It was people that wanted to not be involved. Just let me take the bull by the horns and do it. And it was like, hey, everybody's got to come together. This is one of those times where it takes a village to do it. I couldn't do it all by myself. And once people realized that and actually got over the, oh, I'm so afraid of social media and I'm afraid of Facebook and Twitter, then and they saw that the tourist was doing it, then they all started to embrace it. But it was slow. It took a couple of years to get it going where the community totally bought into the whole thing. But it was an interesting adventure.
Jon, how did this compare with what happened with you guys over in Interlaken?
It's a hard comparison to make directly. Obviously, Interlaken itself has more than 12,000 inhabitants. But initially, and I'm looking at your feed here with Kate saying that would never happen in Malawi because getting people to work together, they want all the glory. It'd be much easier to
I just want to note that I didn't read that off of anywhere. I don't know what you're referring to.
Oh. Anyway, the point is, Interlaken's the same way. Initially, the competing companies, to get them to work together, especially in social media, or not even social media, especially online, was difficult because everyone was afraid they were going to lose. But what it came down to is the result when we started making small steps is using the social media and using the online technology allowed people to make sure the guests coming to Interlaken were staying at the right hotels, were getting on the right trips, having the right experience in the city, which means the guests leave happier, which means the destination wins because when they go away, they're talking about it more. And it built up into a cycle, and the people who were afraid that they were going to lose out because of the publicity soon found that they were upselling their partners' tours. the guest that got upsold on the other tour was happier because he ended up on the right tour. They still won a little bit because they got a little kickback or commission, and it was win-win for everybody.
So, Leslie, do you see any I guess also, John, did you guys change how Interlaken was promoted in terms of what its image was? If I recall, that was part of what you guys did, right? To have a different demographic come in?
No, we didn't change the demographic coming in at all. Interlaken, and we can't take credit for this because it was the tourism office at Interlaken, they did a study where it said, well, it's more than just retired people going to the mountains. Actually, a large part of the market here is young backpackers. They're spending as much per night stay as a 3- or 4-star hotel guest. They're just not spending it on a hotel and going out to eat. They're saving on the accommodation, spending it on the things they do. So that put the backpacker and the adventure market, as far as the town of Interlaken concerned, gave it a great weight here. And it became a priority to push Interlaken as an adventure destination. The tourism office as a whole embraced that very well, and it's one of the most important things. And the Interlaken Hostel and Adventure Group helped bring that to the international market. So I can't say that we didn't change the segment. We made the community more aware of how important the segment was. And what we helped facilitate is bringing what was happening in the offline world online and making it easier to leverage the social media to spread the word that way.
Okay, so speaking of social media, I want to address a tweet we got. It's from Tour Absurd, and the tweet reads, "Wanting to learn some things for setting up the first blog trip to my city. Despite being in Ireland, blog trips are very new." So have you guys, I know that a lot of times that's done by bigger entities like the big hotels and the big destination actual tourism boards, but have any of you guys worked on the planning end of a blog trip, a press trip for bloggers?
I have.
Okay,
So,
Leslie, take it.
and as a matter of fact, I just talked about this at a conference about how you actually do this with bloggers. It's interesting because it's not like a regular press trip. When you bring in bloggers, they also, first of all, they tend to want to come by themselves. And that way you then set up plenty of things for them to do. You've got to realize the minute they get to your destination, they want to do Foursquare, they want to tweet photos, they want to Instagram. You have to give them plenty of time to be able to be working with social media the whole time they're with you. But what's really interesting is that what we've learned over the years is that they want to have downtime, especially in the afternoon, where they can sit and do their writing. You know, when we do press trips, we cram everything in. You'd have them busy from morning till the last drink in the bar at night, and that's not how the bloggers are. They want some time where they can digest what they've seen. They want to walk the main street, talk about the things that are a little off the beaten path, and you really have to treat it very differently than a regular press trip.
Yep.
In general,
yeah, Ethan,
Ron, if I can jump in.
Yeah, please.
Let's just say, in general now, there are more and more tourism boards, large and small, tour operators, large and small, anyone involved in tourism marketing, realizing the power and potential of individual voices, and those individual voices can come through most loudly if you're a blogger, or via bloggers and vloggers, video bloggers. There are many, many efforts, or I should say more and more efforts now, to cater to these individuals who have interesting influence and reach in the travel community, bloggers and video bloggers, and efforts now to cater to their interests. And that includes, as Leslie said, time, space, individual focus, and focus away from the mainstream, which goes back to the grassroots things that we're talking about. People don't necessarily want to see only the top 10 things in a destination. In fact, more and more people want to see the things no one has ever discussed, things that no one has ever shown, the meal on the table in a family's home, the little terracotta worker on the back street, really interesting local things.
Yeah, I just want to back up what both you guys are saying. I was just on a See Maui socially press trip, so that's the hashtag See Maui, and it was specifically for bloggers, and it was all the stuff that Leslie said. They made sure that there was ample time. It was very customized, because if there's one thing that frustrates bloggers, it's when you go, here are all the things you have to see, and you have to see them all within this day, and you better do it because these are what we say are important. It doesn't work because it doesn't help them. And if you know your niche within a blog, you're not just doing the top 10 whatever within the city. You've got very specific things that you focus on and you relate to. And a lot of times, if you're a personality who relates to certain things, it won't work for the destination, and it won't work for the blogger if you're forcing things down their throat that they're not particularly interested in. Lee, as somebody who deals with the writing and photography space, do you have anything else with this?
Well, I actually did blog for quite a while before, and it's very true. My question is usually, when you're doing destination marketing and trying to show hundreds and hundreds of bloggers the newest thing, what ends up happening a lot is you end up having a lot of people showing the newest thing, so it doesn't feel that new anymore. So what I also, when I write, I always try to find things that are a little different that people aren't necessarily going to see, because anytime you go to a town, you can go to the center square in any town in Argentina and find out what the best things to do are there. But how you find something outside of that, it's a little more complicated, and a lot of what we do also is taking people outside of the norm, and we're also sort of battling with the idea of, well, how do you take people out of the norm yet not make what's outside of the norm, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. I want to address the fact that I feel like some people are taking my line of bigger organizations and tourism boards as being those are the only people who are capable of doing it. I know that my point is mostly that if you are dealing with airfare and people coming from far away, it's sometimes more difficult to organize, especially a group, whatever else. But to Ethan's point, you can get somebody out there. If you get just one person, potentially the reach you have is great. And then I know that Alistair, Mackenzie, and Kate were talking about having people out in Malawi, and Kate was thinking, it might be difficult, and Alistair's comment over on Travel Coffee Break was, there are people who are already there. And yeah, so I don't know, Kate, if there's anything you have to say regard to that.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to talk more with all of you. It sounds like so interesting what everybody's doing. In terms of that point, I think that that one of our problems is I don't really know how to find out when those people are in Malawi, or and we often hear press that comes out after people have been in Malawi, and sort of it'd be so good to know that they'd been here. Or I got contacted by somebody who was writing an article on responsible tourism, and they'd just gone back to the UK, and they wrote and said, oh, I've just found your company. I was in Malawi for 2 weeks writing an article on responsible tourism. Now, I know we're about there's only a couple of companies here doing things in our field, and it's so frustrating, because it's probably completely my fault. I don't know how to know what's coming out in the press. I don't know how to know which bloggers are out here, etc.
Yeah, I guess this is all part of a bigger topic. So I want to just let everybody know, we put it up a few times. Ethan's put a little thing up with muting the microphone. Yeah. Darius and I are in the same room, so you can hear some of an echo when we don't do that. Oh yeah, Juan. I'll get it to you in a sec, Juan. But I just wanted to say, if you tweet using the hashtag DESTACC, or you mention us directly at DESTACC, we will address what you're saying. Everybody's got stuff to say, that's why we have a good panel. But so before we get over to Twitter, I want to let Juan come in, and then we'll go over to Twitter, and then we'll go back to Lee. All right, Juan.
Sorry, thanks, Ronnie. Just with regards to Colombia specifically, we have throughout the years a very negative image. And that via bloggers who are foreigners and are reporting back on what we have to offer has been something very beneficial for the destination. Because, you know, if we say or we tell a story, it's very different to if someone else who is not from our country says it. So that's something that I would add. And with regards to Kate, there's a couple of guys here who have started something called Touristic, and it's sort of like a non-profit voluntary blogger collaboration, and then they're filtering all of those trips and all of those inquiries that you were mentioning, so that everyone knows what's happening in that sense. So that's just one idea from here.
Brilliant, thank you.
Cool. Yeah, Darius, go for it.
Yeah, just one thing from me. I have talked. I was at the AOA conference, so Adventure Outdoors in Florida last 4 days, and we have made the experience that as soon as one shows that there is a business model behind bringing in tourists and distributing the traffic, that there are people come up with the idea to build a business model out of that. And probably not, I don't want to be too confronting two models, but what Leslie said was mainly you started a grassroots movement out of communicating out there and building on that. Just probably comparing Jon's experiences with Bus2alps, why not building a business out of doing this, so one can focus on the challenge of acquiring customers somewhere else and bringing it into the destination. If one would add such an incoming tour operator, such as I think Bus2alps acts a bit like that, Jon. Well, question to Leslie and to Jon, whether this would be an idea, or what do you think? Is this necessary for a working destination, or do you think, well, doesn't matter whether you have a big incoming tour operator that brings in tourists?
Well, I know from my little area's standpoint, we would love to have an incoming tour operator. We used to do bus tours. We had that, but that was years ago. And for littler areas that don't have resources to work with the big tour operators and put out a lot of promotional pieces and that sort of thing, that I think that's a great idea.
So may I jump in on that with Jon? What was your experience, Jon, there? How did you manage that for Interlaken? I mean, a part of Interlaken being a known destination for ski tourism, but how did you do that for summer activities and those kind of things?
Well, I mean, with incoming tour operators, when you're at a destination like Interlaken, it was already on the map. There are already tour operators coming here, so it's quite easy well, not always easy, but you make your contracts with the tour operators, and that's that. It was more. I find it hard. Interlaken has such a large group of incoming tour operators. It's hard to. It wasn't a problem here. That was already existing. Our goal with the social media was more and the whole online presence was to get the people committing to coming to Interlaken and the independent travelers.
Lee, before we moved on, I think you said you had some notes on bringing people to a destination. Can't hear you. Unmute. Can you try talking again, Lee? Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, you can hear me now?
Yeah.
I was a travel blogger before I started doing the work that I'm doing now, and met a lot of people in the travel blogging community. And over the last 2 or 3 years since we've been working on different projects, prior to Cloudhead and then Cloudhead, I've stayed in touch with a lot of them. And then a lot of times it's a matter of literally just going on to Twitter, going on to Facebook, or Google Plus nowadays, which is a fantastic place, particularly if you're dealing with photography. To just go out and say, hey, look, this is what I'm doing. I know you're nowhere near here now. If you ever want to come, please come. Or there's so many people that are doing trips right now that a lot of people start in Mexico and they make their way all the way down to Argentina. And I know there are a lot of people in Africa and there's so many people in Colombia that you just kind of talk to them and you have an ongoing conversation so that they are often willing to kind of change their destination a little bit and come to where you are. And we've had a lot of bloggers come here just because we're here, and I've just kind of connected with them over the time.
Yeah, Alistair McKenzie wrote over on Twitter, tell Kate if you want to know who is in country, ask another blogger. They all know who is going where. It tends to be a pretty close-knit circle in a lot of ways. So we have some questions for TrekSoft itself from Alex Bainbridge. And this is for everybody. I think it's really interesting, and let's have an honest conversation about this. Does TrekSoft think that reservation systems ends up commoditizing local products and turning destinations into generic locations? So let's have the TrekSoft guys say what their take is.
Can I field that?
Yeah, up to you and Darius.
I think it's an excellent question. We're talking about responsible tourism and on the one hand, and then tourism as a commercial thing on the other hand. I think the destination decides it wants tourists there, and reservation systems facilitate the online process. Regardless of whether or not there is an online reservation system, an online booking potential in a destination, if that destination wants tourists there, then they're gonna get them somehow.
Okay. Kate, did you have a response?
Yeah, we debate about this so much in the office about we wanted to start our company and not be involved in mass tourism and just be involved in a really niche market and have the kind of travellers like we are who really want to have local experiences. But there's a huge but in a country like Malawi with this, because we've got these fantastic projects, but we don't have the numbers, we don't have the tourists, and so I think you need both. You do need to have things like reservation systems and ways in which people can access your country easily, your destination easily. But it's just what they do when they're here that's got to be managed, I think. But I think you do need both, because otherwise you've got these fantastic products, but you've got nobody here. We've just done a huge contract with a company I never thought that we would work with. But they're going to come to Malawi anyway, and by using us, at least we're channeling part of what they're doing back to local communities, and we're handling that sensitively. So I think you need both. Does that make sense?
Jumping in on that, thanks Kate for this comment. I mean, I've worked with a couple of social enterprises back in Switzerland and back in other countries in South Africa, and there this question comes always up about money and about responsibility and whether it fits together. I think we at the reservation system cannot design the product, but the product can be sold through a reservation system. So in the end, you have to decide what product you want to sell, and how this should look like, and then on top of that you can somehow build a sales channel that probably a reservation system can facilitate. Definitely not doing the whole job, but yeah, just as a experience there, I would not separate in between money and sustainability, but more the one thing as a resource for the other.
Yeah, Juan, yeah, I was going to throw it over to you next, definitely.
Sorry, what I was going to say is basically I believe you need to find the right balance. You definitely need the tools, and if you're talking about a professional industry, you then need to make sure that you can deliver that. In our case, for example, what we do is when we sell a travel experience, we immediately allocate a percentage towards social and environmental projects that we identify at each destination that we work at. So if you're able to combine everything in the right way, I think that you're able to spread the wealth and also benefit more people in doing so.
Yeah. So we only have a few minutes left, so I just wanted to see if there were any closing thoughts from everybody, and then we'll let TrekSoft tell us a little bit more about what they're doing and how you can get involved with using a product and working with them in some way. So let's start off. Let's go reverse. Let's do Leslie.
Okay, just addressing that last question, for a destination like Lake Arrowhead, we broke our necks for 20 years bringing individuals up, and we would love, these smaller destinations would love to have somebody help bring people to the destination. So, I just wanted to flip it a little bit, saying, well, here we've done it individually for so long, and boy, wouldn't it be nice to have some help doing it. So, you know, that I think that's something that TrekSoft should be thinking about.
Cool. So Leslie, just so we make sure you have a chance, where can they find you and what you do?
Oh, okay, yeah, since I couldn't get my flag up and my name up, Leslie at tourismcurrents.com is my email, and tourismcurrents.com is the website, and you can find me on Twitter, where I'm mostly just at Leslie McClellan.
Excellent. So Juan, any closing thoughts on anything that's been discussed today, or something maybe we didn't get around to?
Well, just first of all, to thank all of you for being here, for anyone who tuned in to watch what we're discussing. I think it's been very beneficial for all of us. If you want to get in touch with me, you can write to me to juan@largeminority.com. If you happen to want to go to Cambodia, we've got the event happening in November, December of this year, in Sri Lanka towards September, and in Colombia all year round. So we're happy to always welcome you wherever we are. Thank you very much.
Cool, thanks. And just so you guys know, if you're watching us live, if you do have some questions left, there's still some time to put those over on Twitter. Ethan, you have your little card to put up. So there, you could use that, or send it to us directly at DSTACC. Lee Schulman, closing thoughts on how they could find what you're doing.
All right, well, first I wanted to say thank you for inviting me to be here. This has been incredibly interesting just to hear other people who are doing similar things, but kind of spread out in different ways, and it's given me a lot of good ideas. As far as finding me, you can find us online at cloudhead.org, or you can email me at lee.org, or on Twitter at cloudheadart.
Cool. Any closing thoughts, or?
My closing thoughts. My main closing thought at this point is I'm really interested in finding more about the software, because we're just about to start a project that I think might be perfect for it. So I'm more curious. I have more questions than anything else right now.
Cool. Well, we'll be hearing more about the software at the very end. Kate Webb, over in Malawi.
My book is full of questions and comments, and I'm hoping that we can all share each other's emails at the end, because I haven't been writing them down. But you can find me at responsiblesafaricompany.com, or my email is just kate@responsiblesafaricompany.com. Closing comments are that, sorry, I'm just checking my internet's still on. It's just been fascinating, really, really interesting, and I really love, I've really enjoyed hearing about Interlaken, and kind of amazing what people are doing with their destinations, and it's made me think that I need to be a bit braver. I sort of need a helping hand, and people like Ethan have helped me, so if anybody's got any ideas of ways to make me a bit braver, that would be fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. Over to, let's do the TrekSoft guys. So, Dariush, did you want to go for that?
Thanks a lot, thanks a lot. Yeah, here I am. So, as the question came up about the software, I'm more than happy and more than willing to answer all those questions. Probably a closing thought first. We have talked about monetization. And I strongly believe that if one can show the end, or the light at the end of the tunnel, that somewhere there can be, generated somehow in a revenue stream, not necessarily making huge profits, but being a resource for whatever project, either for building up a destination, keeping it running, supporting communities. I think this is a core thing for a certain project, and what TrekSoft tries to do is to support that. We have just redesigned our slogan. We help you sell online, offline, and on mobile devices. And we try to stick to this help selling, not in a way that we want to oversell someone, but to give or to provide our users the tools that they can use. So just as a brief overview, you get the core elements of a booking system that you can book trips and tours and offering through with a small website, so a free customizable website. If you want it, you can also integrate it into your existing website through iframes. Then as I mentioned in the beginning, we take care of the booking administratively, and we take care of the payment. So we take the credit card information from your customer, process the credit card payment, and wire the money out directly on whatever bank account, especially also for almost every developing country. So you don't have the whole huge commission fees with Western Union or any other service provider about that. So this is the first bit, and the second bit then is to in fact not enabling to sell, but helping to increase sales or to build sales, and we do that through several tools. So we have a point of sales desk, so you can as long as you have an internet connection, you can access the system and sell directly on the spot. We have a partner network, which could be very beneficial for the people here in this group probably. So one can share each other's offerings and then can resell the offerings of each other. This is also the basis for building small marketplaces for example destinations. So you say, okay, I build a website that shares the offerings of several companies involved in a destination. We put some blogging content on, we put some social media activities on this website, and someone sees the website and the destination itself, and can book directly through the website into the booking engine of each individual company. Then we have also ambassador marketing tools. I don't want to lay out the whole thing now, but there are several things that you can do and you can facilitate and then build up on a social media presence and on a certain awareness that you can generate with several things we have discussed. So probably for the tour operators that are listening to us, or the activity providers specifically, we have a 3 months free trial that you can test. The whole thing runs on a commission-based model anyway, so you have no sign-up fees or anything. And we include credit card fees in a 6% commission on online turnover, which is, from our point of view, a fair price somehow. We pay your credit card fees, we pay your software fees, we pay everything for 3 months, so you have a free trial. If you want to do that, just use our sign-up process on www.TrekkSoft.com, trek like tracking and soft like software. So there you put in the gift code HANG for Hangout, HANG 22, so HANG 22 as a gift code, and I know that this comes from here, and there you get the free trial. So HANG 22 as a gift code, and then you can test all the features, and you can call us on our 24/7 hotline, which is published also on the TrekSoft page, which currently leads mainly to me, and I'm happy to answer all the questions. Then for the people who are probably listening and knowing people interested in TrekSoft, we have an ambassador program established, so you can provide your network with the TrekSoft engine, also facilitating the entry a bit. So if you are interested in cooperating with TrekSoft, or some companies involved in TrekSoft or using TrekSoft, shoot me an email on darius@treksoft.com or on info@treksoft.com, and I will come back to you as soon as possible, and I'm more than happy to talk to all of you, either audience or speaker, after the Hangout, whenever you have time. We are on Twitter, we are on Facebook. Just use the search term TrekSoft.
Cool. Unless we have any other questions for our co-organizers, I think we're going to just put up the information of everybody within the chat, and thank everybody for watching, whether it was live or later on. Any other questions for the TrekSoft guys while we're all in one space? Cool. Then we'll take that offline. I hope we all get to engage with each other shortly. Thanks again to everybody who watched this. I'm going to share the information of everyone, and if you need anyone's information in the interim, well, we're all easy to find. So thank you again for watching, and we hope to do this again with you very soon.
Thanks a lot.